is the circles, you know, anything that's circular. So the slot and the arcs that are around it are what we're going to focus on first. So I'm going to make a construction line for the kind of randomly place it here for its center of that slot. So that will be the middle of that slot. And then I'll do the centers of the circles that are going to make up that slot. So that looks pretty good to me. And now I will go to my object layer and make those circles. And I can make them both or copy them. Hard to say what's faster. You know, if you are in circle mode, you don't have to, and you're making the same size circle, you don't have to type it each time. So check this out. I'm hitting the enter button. I click where I want the circle, and then I just hit enter. Hit the enter button, click where I want the circle, and I just hit enter. Because it remembers the size. You can see it says it right here. Each time you click, it's saying right down here in the command prompt, it has it in brackets here, 1.5. So it's going to do what's in the brackets unless you change it, unless you type something different. So if you just keep hitting enter, it'll just keep making the same size circle. So it's pretty fast. Copying this or just using that method, it's kind of a toss-up. So I just did the same thing there. All right, so those circles are looking good. And now I'm going to connect them. I'm going to turn off my construction layers and then trim out what I don't need here. All right, that's looking good so far. And then of course, I'm going to make lines that come off from here. And just kind of guessing how long this is. I think, maybe like that. Again, I'm just approximating the size of this thing. That seems about right. Trim this stuff out. Okay. Now, as far as the T slot is concerned, I need to make sure that I'm doing everything symmetrically on both sides. However wide I decide to make those flats on the top. So I'm going to count my squares here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 5 over. Do the same here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That seems about right. Okay, well, for the top view object lines, that's pretty much it. Obviously, I still have to put my rounds, do my corners, but we'll come back and do that last. So now I'm going to move on and do the front view. Get in my construction layer. I think that's everything. All right. That's it for the front view. And then we'll do the right side view. And here we get to draw the T-slot in more detail. We know how big the opening is. There it is, right there. We decided that in the top view. But now we get to decide its interior dimensions. And I'm just going to make this up completely. So maybe down 3 over 3, down 3, maybe down 4. just make sure you're doing it the same amount on both sides so that it is symmetrical. Oops. Just count your squares again so that the inside T shape here is a symmetrical slot. Okay, that's looking good. I also need to draw the slot in this view, and I believe it's wider than than this slot right here that you see in the top view. So I'm going to go 1 square wider than that and say it's basically like this. I don't know what just happened there. Okay. All right. I think that's it for the basic contour of this object. Now we can start addressing the holes. So, and the slots with hidden lines and center lines. And then the very last thing I want to do is come in and do all the fillets and rounds and stuff. So I'll start with the top view. In the top view, I'm going to need to show the edges of this T-slot with hidden lines. So I need to project up their location. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to go to my construction layer and give those construction lines a click. And while I'm here, might as well do it for the other view as well, because I'm going to need the same lines in the front view. I'm also going to need the edges of this slot on the bottom. So I'll place those construction lines there also, right there and there. So now you can see I've got 4 new construction lines, there they are, that I need to reflect into the top view. So I will do that. Go X, L, enter, H, enter. And with my grid snap off and my object snap on, I will grab hold of those easily. There they are. Got them. And now I will trim this away. TR, enter, and then another T, enter. Select the transfer line, enter. Now it's my cutting edge, and now I can just trim these off to that line. Quite a few construction lines bouncing off that transfer line. Okay, so I'm going to go to my hidden layer first. Take care of this stuff. That's the edge of the T-slot, and here is the other edge of the T-slot. And here is the edge of this rectangular slot. And here is its other edge. And I'm going to make this one long and just trim it off. So going long here. And it will be trimmed off to the arc. So in order to do that, I'm going to quickly turn off my construction lines and just trim this off. TR, enter. Whoops. TR, enter. And there it is. Excellent. Put my construction lines back on. So those are again, the 2 slots running the length of this object, this upper one here and the lower one there. The other thing I need to show in this top view is the center lines for the slot and these big rounds here. And they are on center with the arcs that make up this slot. So you know how that works. You have to make the center line stick out beyond their edges too. So the center line's going out quite a bit. There you go. Indicating that these arcs, the small one and the large one, both share the same center point. Okay, I think the top view is good regarding center and hidden lines. Let's take a look at let's do the right side view next. So what's missing from the right side view is this same slot. So we will show those lines here. I'm in my center line layer, so I'll just do that right now, and that's going to be super simple. That's just going to be a line going up through the middle like this. There it is. And then the edges will be on our hidden layer. There you go. So that's it for the hidden and center lines on the right side view. And lastly, looking at the front view, let's do the T-slot first. Here's the bottom of the T-slot. And here is the mid section of the T-slot. There you go. And we need to show the bottom of this rectangular slot. So it's cruising across like this. And then we need to show the slot right here. And its edges are from there to there. And there to there. And then its center lines, of course, are the same. You could copy those if you wanted, or make new ones. I'll make new ones. Remember, ending a center line on another line like that is a big no-no. You don't want them to tee together like that. So it's either got to be shorter or longer, and I'm going to go a little longer. All right. There we go. I think that takes care of all of our center lines and hidden lines for this object. So what is left? Rounding corners, applying fillets. We're going to do this one view at a time. I'm going to zoom in a little tighter. Clean this up. Whoops. Got too much there. So let's start with the front view. So looking very closely at the drawing, like we talked about, the bottom is definitely flat and squared off, so there's not going to be any rounds there. Working my way up, this surface right here is definitely rounded. So I need to place a round going from this line downward. And the way we do these rounds is we use the fillet command. You have to set the radius R, enter. For these little rounds, I'm using 0.5. At my level of zoom, that works out pretty well. And let's see what that looks like. So that is about right. Get on the right layer here. If it takes out a line like that, then you are going to have to make a sacrificial line. So let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to get a line segment, and I'm just going to make it from where I want the fillet, and it just needs to be longer than the fillet. So this is the thing I just drew. I'll change its color so you can see what I'm talking about. So I just drew this little pink line segment, and it is going to be sacrificed to make this fillet. So if I click on the fillet command and then click on that little guy in this line, you can see it does a nice job, and it doesn't wipe out this bigger line. Odds are I'm going to need to put one on this side too. So I'll do the same thing. And again, you don't have to change this color. I'm just doing that so you can see what I'm doing. So now you can see there it is. And when I go to the fillet command or just type F, enter, there you go. By the way, once you set the radius, it remembers, just like the circle. So to set the radius, you have to go F, enter, or click on the fillet command and then type R, enter, and then type the value you want it to be. But once you've done that, it remembers. So you can see down here in the fillet and the command prompt, it has in brackets my 0.5. So it's going to keep doing that size unless I change it. For example, how about this one right here? This is the next obvious round, and that one is considerably larger. So that one is at least 1. So I'll change that to 1. And now let's see what happens when I get there. So yeah, that's more like it. And that's how you change the fillet to be larger. Now I'm going to change it back to the smaller value. So I'm going to go F, enter, R, enter, and then 0.5, enter. And now you can see it's back to 0.5. The underside of this guy definitely is rounded. So I'm going to click here and click there. There it is. And I believe that's it. The top is squared off. These corners are square because it's been machined at the top surface. The insides here are also square, so that these hidden lines are making square connections because they have been machined out as well. And that is the same for the slot inside here and this slot. So we have all the all the connections rounded that need to be. So we'll move on to the top view and see if anything needs to be corrected here. In the top view, this whole tongued out area here is looking pretty good. I think that is that's fine. On the very top, you can see that this corner right here, which would be rounded, even though it's been squared off flat in the front view, in the top view, it is clearly rounded. So that needs to be done. F, enter, and it's just from here to here. It's probably going to wipe out that whole line again. You can see it doing that, right? So you could put that sacrificial one in like we talked about. Here's another way you can treat that. You can click on the line that got wiped out, the portion of it that's still there, and then just stretch it back. Grab its grip and then just pull it back to where it goes. So just another way to tackle that. And then this corner as well. There you go. Is the backside machined? Is this backside squared off? That is a good question. If it is, then these corners would be square. If it's not, then they would be rounded. It's hard to say for certain, but my gut feeling is that it is not squared off on the back side. So I'm going to round these corners as well. So this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy. The inside is definitely machined square, so all these connections on the inside here are perpendicular. You know, it's occurring to me right now that I left out a hidden line. So this line right here extends underneath this part all the way to the end. Better put that one in place. From there to there, all the way across. And how does it connect to this back face? This is a good question. Is it rounded? And the answer is definitely. So you got a rounded arc that you need to put in place here, and that's on the hidden layer. So check this out. I'm going to go to my line command and make a little line segment that goes along here. Just a little sacrificial one, but there it is. And fillet that one to this one. So I'm going to go to the fillet command and click that guy and this one, and there it is. And then just erase that straight part. But I got the curve. I'm going to do that again for you close up. So I'm going to back up, zoom in on there real tight. So if I just make a straight up fillet here, it's going to cause trouble. If I just click that line and go this way, you can see it wipes out the line over here. So I don't want to do that. I want to make a little line segment. There it is. There it is right there. And use that one to create this fillet. So I'm going to click on that line. I'm going to go to fillet command, click on that line, and then click on this little one, this little bit I made, and it makes a nice hidden line around. But I do want to get rid of this little bitty line segment that I don't need anymore. So I'm going to hit delete. So that is how you do a hidden round. There you go. All right, I believe that we are done in the top view. Zoom out and tackle this right side view. Okay. In the fillet mode, definitely that guy right there. And we got this corner for sure right here. This underside for sure, the way this connects to this one. That one's definitely going to require a little line segment. You can see it gets wiped out, or you can stretch it. So check this, we'll do that method. So you can click on there and click this guy and just pull this one down. I think we'll do that on this side too. So I can grab this line segment, its grip, and just drag it on down to where it goes, and then take that one down to where it goes too. The bottom of this thing has definitely been machined. So any corners on the bottom are going to be perfectly square. The inside of this slot has been machined out, so it's all square. The inside of the T slot all squared out. The top of the T slot here all squared off. So those corners are all going to be sharp like that. I believe we're done with this.